entire country have not been able to get their hands on a newspaper, and that's why we've been getting you all the headlines here in the top newspapers of the country. Let's begin with what's making headlines in the Times of India this Saturday morning. The biggest, of course, is what Prime Minister Modi said yesterday right after the all-party meeting. He made it very, very clear to China that no intruder is on our land now, no post in anyone's custody. The Prime Minister has made it very, very clear that India retaliated to the Chinese attack along the LAC in the Ladakh area. This is what he told the all-party meeting attendees yesterday. Sonia Gandhi was among those who attended that meeting. There were 20 parties, remember, in attendance to that meeting. She questioned the intel failure, and if there was any, she posed several questions to the Prime Minister and the central government of what exactly happened. Did we have information that Chinese were building infrastructure along the LAC? Did we know that such an attack was being planned? Was the intel shared? She also asked the government if it was on June 15th is when they found out about this particular attack, or was it that day that they decided to actually make that news public? That is the big story here in Times of India. Another one also is relating to the standoff that has been going on for several weeks along the line of actual control and the violent clash that broke out really on June 15th. India moves jets, copters to China-facing forward bases. India has decided to deploy more warships in the Bay of Bengal region. PLA-2 is building up forces. Now, it's not just India. India is, of course, it is preemptive action. We don't want to take any more chances because China really cannot be trusted anymore. But as PLA troops are fortifying their infrastructure, their troops, their deployment along the LAC, India too is doing the same thing. We have now decided to deploy more warships in the Bay of Bengal region. Another bit of information relating to the same incident, in fact, is that 10 soldiers were released after 3 days of talks between India and China. Now, remember, there were major general level talks that were held just 2 days ago. It was a marathon meeting between India and China. It ran for about 7 hours, after which we know that 10 soldiers who were in the custody of China after the June 15th skirmish have now been released. US is backing India. It's one of its biggest allies. China and US, remember, are also locked in a bitter trade battle. There is no love lost between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. This stand, of course, at a time when global support is only pouring in for India and against China. So top US officials have backed India against China. That's also the blurb that we see here on the first page of the Times of India. Cops guarding Chinese companies, HZ Society in Noida. Remember, now there is a lot of clamor really for Chinese goods, for Chinese applications, and the boycott of that campaign really has been going on across the country. We're also seeing several of those protests across the country over the last couple of days where we want people to boycott China. That's also one of the big information that is coming in here. That's the big story that we're seeing here in the Times of India. That's on the first page. We can boycott China, but at what cost? Remember, like I was talking about, the boycott campaign that is now running in the country, several other parts as well. This is an infographic that is now on the front page of the Times of India, which talks about the cost really of whether or not India can boycott China, the goods, the applications, the finances, the companies that Chinese investors have in India, and what really can be done to ensure that if possible, we can choke China financially. Moving on to the Navbharat Times. The big story on the Navbharat Times blurb is on coronavirus. Corona mareez ghar mein nahi reh sakenge. This is what the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi has told. The government, of course, the Aam Aadmi Party government there is against such an idea. It is going to be a potential standoff between the two yet again. Remember, we've seen several other face-offs between the Delhi government and the Delhi Lieutenant Governor. This is likely to be one of them. The big story, of course, is about the Chinese standoff and our soldiers that were in the custody of the Chinese. Cheen ke changul se surakshit lote 10 Bharatiya Jawan. This happened yesterday. That is the top headline in Navbharat Times. It also focuses on the India-China standoff and the situation at the LOC. Now, this one talks about चौथे दिन भी चीन एक ही बात बोली, भारतीय सैनिक घुसे थे. The stand that the Chinese government, the PLA troops have taken is that they were not in the wrong. It was India who provoked. Time and again, India has come out and exposed all these lies by China, but Beijing continues to peddle that narrative that they were not in the wrong. It was Indian soldiers, in fact, who started the skirmish, started the standoff, which then, turned into a full-blown fight in which, unfortunately, 20 of our Jawans were martyred. That's the big story here. Also, the stand that the United States has taken against China and in support of India. Donald Trump, they've quoted Donald Trump on this. चीन से अलग होने का यही है वक्त. Remember, now China and the United States are locked in a bitter trade battle. Donald Trump has been calling for isolating China for the last several months, if not more than that. And this particular incident that has now come in between India and China is only giving more ammunition to Donald Trump administration to call for a complete boycott of China. India, of course, stands to gain out of this as an alternative in terms of economic revival, so to say, for the country. But of course, all this comes in the backdrop of what really has happened at the line of actual control during that attack on June 15th. This is the Navbharat Times. Moving on to the Economic Times. Now, economic revival, of course, is the top focus as India begins unlocking. It's been over 2 months of lockdown. The corona fight is continuing in the country. The cases, unfortunately, are still increasing. We've seen that yesterday, India recorded the largest single-day spike yesterday. Over 13,000, I beg your pardon, cases were recorded in just 24 hours. So at a time like this, when India is opening up, but cases are also increasing, the focus on economy and how to reboot and the revival of the economy is going to be top focus, not just for economists, but for the government, for state governments as well. The top story in the Economic Times this morning is also about what the Prime Minister told all the attendees of the all-party meeting. It talks about no intrusion into India, no post captured. That is the big headline that came in from that meeting yesterday. In the meeting, Prime Minister Modi told the attendees that there was no Chinese intrusion. 20 martyrs taught the assaulters, which is the PLA troops, a big lesson. Congress, unfortunately, asked for restoration of status quo. Leaders of most political parties backed the government. There were 20 political parties that were in attendance at that meeting, except the left and the Congress party. All 18 other parties stood unanimously with the government against China. Everyone said this was not the time to politicize. This was the time to band together and fight the enemy outside. It was not the time to question the government. We need to send a message that the country stands united for our forces, for the morale of our forces, and of course to send a message to Beijing that no matter what you try to do, India will stand united against all these dirty tactics it's trying to play. That's the big message that came out of the all-party meeting yesterday, where Prime Minister Modi made it very, very clear that India was not going to cow down to China. Now, Chinese buildup in Pangong poses a fresh challenge. That's also the big headline here in the Economic Times. More than 60 new positions have been created along the ridge. Now, that is, of course, a big concern as far as the standoff at the line of actual control continues. They've given what really is happening at the line of actual control and the worry. It says the construction is that the Chinese troops use 6-week standoff to fortify defenses in Pangong So. Big, seemingly permanent structures were seen in area between fingers 4 and 8. Now, why this is a concern is also what the Economic Times talks about. It says it gives an upper hand for China to make it difficult for Indian forces to patrol the area. China has effectively cut off a 50 square kilometer contested area along the lake. Now, that is the worry of what Chinese troops are doing along the line of actual control in the Ladakh area. The economic aspect of this entire thing is we're given to understand that blocking of Chinese products, there's a campaign that is running. There is a blurb on that which talks about Centre may ask states to go for local products. This is in the wake of the entire campaign to boycott Chinese goods. Also pushes the whole Atmanirbhar campaign that the Prime Minister launched in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. We're given to understand that amendments are likely in procurement contracts. The centre has reserved about contracts up to 200 crore rupees for locally made goods. This is a big push for the Atmanirbhar campaign. Also, it reduces our reliance on China and its products. Now, industry has been told to submit a list of Chinese imports. They've been asked to flag those critical to operations. This also means that only those products that are key to certain operations that cannot immediately be manufactured or produced in the country are likely to stay on that list of imports. India is looking, of course, to financially choke China. Diplomatic engagement, military engagement is underway. But another way of keeping China in check is to ensure that the finances from this country to China are stopped. If not stopped, at least stalled. This is a bid in that direction. The industry has now been asked to submit a list of the imports that are essential, that they can do without, and then the government will take a decision on that. Another big information that is coming in here, which also is great news for the stockholders of Reliance, is that Reliance has now become net debt free. Promise fulfilled, says Ambani, as RIL becomes net debt free. Now, this is the first Indian company to cross $150 billion MCAP. It has achieved the debt target 9 months ahead of its deadline. It has managed to now raise funds. That's the big story here coming in. Now, Indian students may give China a miss. Of course, students studying abroad, students from India, have been having a hard time given the fact that we are in the times of a pandemic. India is struggling. Of course, India is facing the number of cases in India are rising every single day. But the situation in other countries as well is not it's not adaptable for students to travel there. But in the given scheme of things, China is someplace both in terms of coronavirus and given the recent turn of events at the line of actual control, Indian students are likely to give China a miss. That's also the big information that is coming in here. Looking at alternative opportunities in the Middle East, North Africa and Asia Pacific region. That's what Indian students are really looking at. Now, the China standoff continues, but the United States, of course, is backing India. The US is using this opportunity to up the ante against China, against whom they're locked in a bitter trade battle. The United States is keen to restore GSP benefits as trade talks begin. This, of course, is with India. India has been a member on the GSP list. Donald Trump wanted to take us out of that. There is going to be negotiation on that. Remember, this is election year in the United States. That's the big story coming in here from the Economic Times. We're moving on to some breaking news coming in. Tahavvur Hussain Rana, a Chicago businessman, is the front, but of course, he is the key conspirator of the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. He spent more than 10 years in prison for aiding terrorist groups like the Lashkar-e-Toiba. He has now been arrested in Los Angeles in United States. He is going to face murder charges for his role in the 2008 attacks. Remember, the 26/11 Mumbai attacks killed at least 160 people. Bhavtosh now joins us for more on this. Bhavtosh, this is big information coming in. Good news for India. We're also looking at extradition in the future. I believe we have issues connecting with Bhavtosh Singh there. He's getting us all the information about this big development that is coming in from the United States. Tahavvur Rana, who is a key conspirator, a plotter of the 26/11 attacks, claims to be a businessman. These are images on your screens where he was seen with conspirator David Headley as well of the 26/11 attacks. He has now been arrested in Los Angeles. Bhavtosh is now joining us on the phone line for more on this. Bhavtosh, Tahavvur Rana has been rearrested, this time in the United States. He's going to face murder charges. India is looking at extradition next.
Yes, Poonam, in fact, a massive development as far as 26/11 probe is concerned. Remember that last year in Parliament, government has issued the country that Tahavvur Hussain Rana will be extradited. In October 2018, a team of NIA officials have met their counterparts in Department of Justice and have given them a long list of documents which explicitly approve Tahavvur Hussain Rana's role in 26/11. Now, in 2009, in October 2009, he was arrested by FBI on terror charges. In fact, he was also convicted for providing financial assistance to Lashkar-e-Toiba. but he was let off as far as 2611 case is concerned, which also saw killing of at least 6 American nationals. Now, India has been asking that Tahir Hussain Rana should be extradited. It's likely that the arrest is just a precursor of extradition proceedings that will take place between India and US. And it's likely that he will be extradited. Sources in investigating agencies which have been probing 2611 have said that they have made a very strong case. The documents have already been submitted to Department of Justice, and they're hopeful that 59-year-old Tahir Hussain Rana will be extradited to India and will face trial in 2611 case.
Thank you, Bhavtosh, for getting us all those details. It is a big development, of course, there. India is looking to get Tahir Rana back. But moving on to what the city editions hold in today's Times of India, let's begin with the national capital in Delhi. The biggest information that is coming in is an order that was passed by the Delhi Lieutenant Governor yesterday, where he said that no home isolation for anyone in the national capital. This, of course, is going to be a sticky point between the Delhi LG and the Delhi government. But this order has now come in from the Delhi Lieutenant Governor, where he says institutional quarantine is a must for all COVID cases. Home isolation is okay only after 5 days for mild cases. Sharon is now joining us for more on that. Sharon, the Delhi government has already objected to such an order coming in from the Delhi Lieutenant Governor.
Well, that is right, Poonam. In fact, the Delhi government has been saying that a quarantine, institutional quarantine for all the COVID-19 patients would actually will be very difficult at this point, because there is shortage of beds as far as the COVID-19 patients are concerned. The nurses and doctors, there is also a shortage of nurses and doctors. This could actually be a burden on the healthcare system in the national capital. But remember, this order came a day after the Union Home Minister met the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister, after which the DDMA chairperson, who is LG Anil Baijal, in fact, he went on to say that during this institutional quarantine, during the home isolation, we are seeing that the number of cases are increasing because there is no physical contact with the patient, and that could be the reason why there is an increase in the cases. And hence, it is very important that the patients are monitored on a daily basis. Hence, they need to go into a quarantine, into an institutional quarantine.
Right.
But this has not been taken well with the Delhi government. They have been saying there is lack of doctors and nurses and shortage of bed. This could be a heavy burden on the healthcare system, and this need to be tweaked. This new order need to be tweaked,
right.
And it should be what it was earlier, that the mild the patients with mild symptoms or asymptomatic patients should in fact be home isolated rather than going to the hospital. They also point out that people will now will be reluctant to in fact get tested, considering they have to go into, if they test positive, they have to go
right.
into institutional quarantine, so they might not come out in large numbers to get themselves tested.
Right, that is the big development there. Of course, it is going to be a brewing controversy. Also, the bit of information about the Delhi Health Minister, Satyendra Jain, unfortunately, whose condition has worsened. He is suffering from COVID-19. He is also now suffering from pneumonia. He is going to be shifted to a private hospital. But Sharon, thank you for joining us with all those updates about what's happening in the national capital. Let's move on to see what the Bengaluru edition holds for us on this Saturday morning. I'm just going to pull that up for you. Right, so Karnataka may have 1 lakh positive cases by August 15. That is what the estimation of the Karnataka government really is. Remember, all state governments are taking stock of what's happening. Bengaluru so far had managed to keep a steady stream of cases, so to say. The rise wasn't as high as we've seen in Mumbai or in the national capital, but Bengaluru is also now suffering this after phase 1 of unlock began. Imran is joining us for more on this. Now, Imran, this is some grim news really if what the Karnataka government is predicting, that they will have 1 lakh cases by August 15th.
Well, this is what a very serious situation there. The Karnataka government is saying that more than 1 lakh cases, positive cases, might have come up. and that's because they're saying that the rate of what they're looking at, the doubling of the rate right now into positive cases, the transmission potential, and average number of secondary infections. All this could lead to rise in number of cases, and you can see that close to around 1 lakh cases will come up in August. And the Chief Minister day for yesterday had an emergency task force meet, and they're looking at contingency, how they they can address the issues, especially the hospital beds, and they're looking at several. They also given permission for private hospitals to conduct the tests and also organize beds in case it is necessary that numbers rise in Karnataka.
Right, thank you for getting us all that information there. Imran, moving on to what Kolkata holds for us this morning. Over 900 new cases in a week have now been recorded. That's the biggest concern here as COVID-19 cases rise. Several states go slow on data release. Remember, the BJP, the central government, had claimed that the West Bengal government really was not providing all the information as far as COVID deaths, COVID cases were concerned. We are getting you information about that. The fuel price hike is also affecting. Private buses are to go off the road in Kolkata. That's also the big information that we're getting for you. The East-West Metro work has resumed. Tamal is now joining us for more on this. Tamal, now over 900 cases in a week have been recorded. That's the grim news that is coming in from Kolkata.
That's right.
We are having trouble connecting with Tamal Saha there. He's getting us all the information of what's really transpiring in Kolkata in West Bengal there. It's time for a quick break here on this show. We'll be back with more on the other side. Stay with us.